For this video, you can put me on your headphones, you can go to the gym, you can go for a walk. You don't need to watch this video. You just have to listen because there aren't any fancy graphics, animations, or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you from the last 9 years of experience what I believe to be true when it comes to making client acquisition predictable and scalable. Okay, so let's get into it. If you're watching this video, I'd imagine that you are a business owner. You are probably spending a ton of money on ads. You are probably creating content. You're trying all these different strategies and tactics that you've consumed online or seen or bought from people, webinars, book a call, low ticket ascension, and you think that there's some kind of magic thing out there that when you eventually land on it, you will then be able to obtain clients whenever you want them and scale to the absolute moon, right? But it actually doesn't work like that. The first thing that you need if you want predictable client acquisition is to actually know your numbers. Like, no one that I speak to, and I spoke to probably 500, 600, 700 businesses last year alone on calls, no one tracks their numbers. No one is in the data. No one understands how much they're spending, what that spend actually turns into. No one is actually looking at the math of what is required to get a client. And there's this problem that I see where people are charging peanuts for their services. And the thing about client acquisition is the people that make it work can afford to spend a lot of money to acquire a client. The maths and the economics of their offer actually allow them to go out there and acquire clients at scale. And that's what 99% of business owners aren't doing. I speak to so many agencies and coaches and all these different businesses that charge nothing. They are not charging enough. And it means that when they go and spend money on ads, they're then capped as to what they can afford to spend to acquire that client. And that obviously then massively limits them. Because unless they can dial everything in to fit within that tiny sliver and that tiny window of maths in their business, they're charging $2,000 a month and they've got to acquire a client for $1,000. Otherwise, they're going to lose money on acquiring that client because they don't lock them into long-term contracts. Like, that isn't long-term. That's not going to save you. That's not going to protect you. You can't do that at scale. It's not going to work. So the first thing you need to do is actually make sure the economics make sense. Like, our offer is multi 5 figures. And that means that we can go and afford to spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And we know that over the lifetime of each client that we land, we are going to walk away with a ton of profit from that. So that's number one. That's the first thing that you have to do. You have to have the maths in order and you have to have the economics in your offer for this to actually make sense. And when you've done that, you have to be on top of things inside of your business. You have to understand the maths. You have to be tracking it on a day-to-day basis. Every morning, this isn't something that I just ship off to a VA. Every morning, I look in my ad account. I'm tracking down the spend. I'm looking in my high-level account. I'm tracking it on who's come through the funnel. What is our opt-in rate? What is our application rate? What is the booking rate? What sort of people are coming through on the ads? What sort of people are resonating and actually booking in and showing up to the calls? What are those calls doing? How can we take information from those calls and then use that on the front end to improve things? But I'm on top of all of this. I'm basically just a manager of data. I'm looking at all these numbers on a day-to-day basis and it's fucking boring, but it's what's needed. Because the biggest thing that I see is people freak out with client acquisition because they just don't know the maths. They just don't know their numbers. They don't understand what they should be spending. They don't understand what good metrics are. And that all boils down to them having too fine of a limit as to what they can afford to spend to acquire a client and also not being in the weeds of their own business and actually tracking things. So number one, fix your maths and fix the economics and get aggressive with tracking things on a day-to-day basis. And if you're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to do that, you should. Because that's why your client acquisition isn't predictable right now. Number two is time. We have had clients and we do, client acquisition for clients. We essentially build them a paid ads system, right? And we help them scale with paid ads, but only once they've actually got a good offer. So if that's you, book a call down below. But what we see is this doesn't happen instantly. If someone pays us money and we start running ads for them, it's not within like a week they start landing a ton of clients and all of a sudden we wave our magic wand and client acquisition just magically starts working. It's not like that. A good example of a client recently, we've been working with them for the past 4 months. The first month of us launching the ads, because they were predominantly organic before, the first month of us launching ads, it fucking sucked. They got terrible results, cost per book call was crazy high, and it wasn't working. Month 2 came around. Again, slightly better, but still not good. The numbers were not great. Cost per call was still crazy higher. They weren't closing enough deals. The ones that were closing were really scrappy. They weren't the right type of client. Month 3 came around. We made some changes. We made some improvements. Every month, like, we're adjusting the ads. We're changing the funnel. We're setting up new split tests. We're testing the offer and the messaging. And we're giving it time. Like, we know that this takes time. It takes a while to happen. It's not something that magically starts working overnight. If it was, everyone would be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads and it would be easy. But like I said at the beginning of this video, it's simple, but it's not easy. And it's about knowing what to change on a day-to-day basis. And this goes back to my point about the maths and being on top of things and tracking things. Because, well, if we can see that the bottleneck is people are opting in, we're getting the leads, but they're then not booking, or they are applying, but they're then not, scheduling a time to speak with us, we can start to identify where the bottlenecks are and what we need to adjust and change. If people are clicking through on the ad, but they're not opting in or watching the VSL or, going through the application, chances are there's an offer and messaging mismatch up front that we then need to deal with. But my point on this is it takes time. You can't get that data quick unless you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on ads right off the rip. And that's just not a smart thing to do. So a lot of people will actually get to the point where they're spending money on paid ads and they're getting to that point of like getting the data in the door so they can actually have predictable client acquisition. But then they get here on like the first problem and then shit dies and it crashes and it stops working again. But rather than understanding, okay, this is normal and this is what I have to now work through and get better at and upskill myself in to then get to that next leg, they just blame ads and they quit and they disappear. And I see this all of the time. And with this client example I was just giving you, 3 months in, shit was bad. He wasn't exactly happy. He wasn't ecstatic. He wasn't over the moon with the numbers that he was getting, but he trusted the process because we was the ones managing it and we understand what we're doing. And we were proactive in making the changes that were needed for him to continue growing and actually getting clients. So, come month 4, his stats look completely different. We changed the offer. We changed the front end message. We changed the ads. We changed the funnel. We changed everything about the business to attract the right type of people because we were just bringing in the wrong type of people. And lo and behold, he's now acquiring clients predictably and profitably. So he now has a mechanism that he can go and put spend into and choose how many clients he buys every single month. Because he's gone through that process. He's got the maths tracked. He's taken the time and given it enough time for it to actually start working and optimize, right? And that leads me into my next point, which is spend. He's spent multi-5 figures in this test. And if he had only spent $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, it's not enough for you to dial that process in. We have other clients where they've only spent $1,000 on ads and they start freaking out and they're like, oh my God, this isn't working. And it's like, no, it is working. What is the role of ad spend? The role is to get you in front of people, right? But its role isn't to get you in front of the right people. That's your job. So the only way you can get in front of the right people is by spending enough to find out who those right people are, to then dial it in across that process by tracking your numbers, tracking the maths, tracking the economics, and then making changes and optimizations across the whole board, whether that be creative, messaging, funnel, whatever, right? So if you're spending $20, $30 a day on ads, good luck. You're not going to build a predictable client acquisition system by doing that. But if you are actually in a position where you're like, okay, we have the money, we have the budget for marketing, and we're now going to go and put money towards paid ads, and we're actually going to crack this system, you need to be spending enough money to do so. Like $100 per day. Like, it's going to be so painfully slow for you to get there. Let's say you budget $3,000, $4,000 per acquisition for your client because every single one is worth $40K, right? Which is fine. There's a 10x. If you did that, you have the chance to land one client per month if you're spending $4,000 per month. Okay? Whereas if you're spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per month on paid ads, then you've got 3, 4, 5 at-bats to land those clients at that acquisition cost. Okay, so again, it all boils down to the maths, and this is the reality of it. Like, paid ads aren't for the weak. Paid ads really aren't for the people that are scared to invest in their business. Paid ads aren't for the people that have no clue on the maths of their offer or understand the just way that this works. Like, this isn't a fucking easy thing to do. It's simple, but it's not easy. It doesn't just happen like that. You're not going to be able to watch a YouTube video and then magically start acquiring clients whenever you want them. Okay? We started a brand new offer last year in January. It's taken us 12, 13 months to get to the point now where we are buying clients at scale. Okay? Last month, we purchased like 110 customers for our business. And the month prior to that, we did the same. So we know what it now takes to go out there and buy 100 customers. And we know what 100 customers then turns into in terms of revenue and cash. So next month, if we want to go and buy more customers, we have the system to do that with our paid advertising. So what actually makes client acquisition scalable and predictable? It's math, it's giving it time and being patient, and it's actually spending enough into it when you understand the first 2 points for you to then see a result. Now, if you want help with your client acquisition, there's a link down below. You can book in a call with me and my team. I think I'm going to start making more of these types of videos where it's just me talking to the camera because one, I enjoy it, and two, I can't fake this shit with AI. So I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening inside of our business with our clients, and hopefully you can take some lessons away from this and implement them for yourself. That would be great. If you want to watch another video, you can check this video out right here. I go over some more stuff which is going to be valuable for you as well. So yeah, see you in the next one.